Today, we're going to be working on my Ryobi 4th cycle model S430 weed whacker. Just to give you a breakdown of what happened here is I was using this machine and it just stopped working on me. Something tells me it might be the timing belt that let go on this machine. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to remove the cover to the carburetor. Simply pinch on the bottom here and it pops up. Remove this back screw and this cover should pop up and out. Once you get the top cover off, you're going to see the timing belt, and I can already see that right in this area here, it's damaged. See the damage right there? And see how it fits? It's loose as hell. I could pretty much just pop this right off. It's telling me that the timing on this is just messed up. So the valves and everything, it's just not timed correctly. Hopefully, this engine is still okay. Look at that. Belt is junk. So here's the new belts. Now we got to get it back in there and try to somehow align this all properly. We're going to have to take these screws out here. And those are T20 screw heads. There should be 4 of them. We're also going to disconnect these wire in here. And we might have to take off the throttle cable. So I just tied the string off to the side here. To get this starter off, once we got this removed from the housing, we're going to just use a screwdriver, put it between the housing of the engine and what I like to call the stator, cooling fins, whatever you want to call it. And then you're going to turn the direction that says off. So use a monkey wrench, big pliers, whatever you got, and it should just turn right off of there. Get clutch, washer, and the starter. So you're left with the stator. Should have did this in the beginning, but I'm going to do it now. Take this spark plug off. Alright, now we got to figure out a way to get this out without special tool. Alright, so if you work it a little bit from the inside here, it's the best way to go. Right here, against the fins, and you just work it, and then she'll finally fall right out of there. Now the problem here is getting this bearing out. I don't have a bearing puller, and I don't think a bearing puller would work on this thing. I'm going to attempt to pop the crankshaft out through this side and get that bearing to come with it. That's the plan. If I ruin this engine, so be it. Can you see the bearing coming out with the shaft? That's the idea. I got to pop that right out of there. And there's the shaft with the bearing on it. Sweet Jesus, that's the only way to do it. There is a small seal in there. Be careful with that seal. You don't want to ruin it, so you don't have to replace it. I'm just going to take some brake clean just to clean this all out. Bearing feels okay. Alright, now here's the belt, and that belt actually rides on that gear. Now to get this all back in, it's going to be the tricky part. Now our main concern at this moment is just to get this back into place. So I'm just going to use the hammer just to tap this in. Okay, now we got to line the shaft up to the crank of the piston. So we're going to tap this in. Check to see if it's in. It's going in. Okay. I'm going to tap this in a little bit more. Alright, I'll use a socket. That way I'll hit it on all sides at the same time. Okay. Alright. Alright, what you want to do is get this bearing flush with the mount here, or the housing. So that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and give it just a couple more taps, just to make sure. All the way around. Alright, so there you go. Just flush with the housing. When you hit the piston back into place on the shaft, you want to support the shaft from underneath. Alright, so you want to do that until it's flush with the crankshaft itself. And this bearing, like I told you before, should be flush with the housing. So that looks good. She's in. She turns fine. Alright, now I'm just going to squirt this down real quick. Just to clean in case there's anything in there that I might have missed, or some filings or something. Alright, she's nice and clean. I'm satisfied with that. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to open up the top cover to the valves. Here's your exhaust valve, and this is your intake valve. Alright, let's get this installed. Now there's a piece here, right, you're going to line up with the crankshaft. Right there. So you're going to line those two up. You should feel it. Just press it down. Alright, I'm not going to put this all together right now because we have to find top dead center. Stick a screwdriver in here, feel for the piston. Piston's coming up. Alright, so right in that area, the piston's up top. There's a circle here, and a circle here. Now we're going to have to match those up if I'm not mistaken. Match it up to that one. Somewhat close. So they got to match up somewhat. Then we get this on. We'll get it started, and then we'll kind of like use we'll turn it to get it in. And there we go. Alright, so it's on. Power back on. So I got that about 1/1000th of an inch from the Stator, the ignition coil pack. I don't know the exact specs on it, but we should be good with 1/1000th of an inch. Put this washer, sleeve. Now I'll put the starter in. Okay. Now we put this on, and this piece gets screwed back on, which is the clutch. That's hot. Alright, so we're going to have to hold that stator in place using a screwdriver. I'm just going to tighten it down. I don't know what the torque is on this, and I wouldn't have any way to torque it anyways. So I'm just going to tighten it down until it's snug. A little bit more than snug. There we go. Wire it back. And crap, I forgot to put the negative wire in there. Son of a gun. Alright, so I'm going to take that back out. Just make sure this is good and tight before I move that, so hopefully this won't move on me. Okay. That's in place. It's back where it belongs. Put the old spark plug back in. About 20 foot-pounds on the spark plug. It should be good to go. Put the wire up. Now we need to take this off. Slide it in there. Get this up in there. Just make sure this is in right. Okay. Alright, now we're going to put this through the handle. I'm going to tie a knot in it. Now, to make sure this don't come out, take the torch. We're going to heat this up. Oh, melt it. Just the tip. Kind of like welds it to itself. So, there you go. Okay, we're just snugging those down. Let me just check to make sure this works. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to get these in. The housing to the engine. Okay. Now, let's hook up the wiring to the kill switch. All the way in. Okay. Alright, so throttle cable's in. Alright, now we gotta get oil in this thing. So you take your oil plug out, oil filler cover out, whatever you want to call it, dipstick. It's actually a dipstick. I use 2050 synthetic inside of this. It only takes a couple of ounces, man. I don't know the exact amount. I only put a little bit in there, and obviously I overfill it. So what I'm gonna do is just tip it back and get some more out of there. It's easy to do. All right, she's good. She's at the top mark. So we're gonna close her up. All right, now we gotta get the fuel tank back on. Just wanna snug these down. 1, 2, 3 bolts. Don't wanna over tighten them and crack the fuel tank. I'm not putting the covers on at this moment. What I'm gonna do is see if this thing starts up. Of course, to do that, I have to hook these back in. Let's get some fuel in there. Just enough to get it started. Double check everything, make sure it's all hooked up. Choke it out. Let's see what happens. Basically, just put your covers back on, and she's done. I don't think you guys need to see me do that. The only other thing you might have to do is play with the idle adjustment screw, just to get it to idle right, whatever, because it might be off now that you got this fixed and whatnot. So if you do, your idle screw's right here. Turn it down for more idle, turn it up for less, and whatnot. Any other questions, comments, constructive criticism, you know what to do, put it down below, and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. All right, everybody, take care. God bless. I'll catch you all later.